everyone. Welcome to Screen Junkies News. I'm Alicia Malone and I'm joined by Adam Halavic from Superhero News, my Sith buddy.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Now, I know you're a huge fan of Rogue One, and since it's now in theaters, we noticed some things that we were all talking about that were in the trailers, in the behind-the-scenes footage, in the promo materials, but didn't actually make the movie. So we thought we would talk about those. Warning, spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen Rogue One, put this aside, go watch Rogue One, come back and watch us. So getting into it, oh yeah, spoiler alert, wah, 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 like from the trailer. Well, there was tons of stuff that we noticed were in the trailer and the behind the scenes footage. Let's start with one from the behind the scenes sizzle reel. This is Jyn meeting this young girl. This is not in the film.
No, this isn't. So the only thing that we really see, so this is on Jeddah when they're trying to get to Saw Gerrera, and the only interaction we see with Jyn and this young girl is when this young girl is screaming in the middle of the street because there's this huge battle happening and Jyn saves her, but we never actually see her hand her anything. So I don't know why they felt like they needed to cut it out. Maybe they just wanted to get to the action sequence, but it's not really the most necessary thing, I guess.
Yeah, most of these we discovered about Jyn as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, I know, seriously.
There's another shot of Jyn and Cassian running on the beach. Slow motion, looks cool. She's got the disc in her hand, the data there, not in the film.
Yeah, this is kind of a heavy edit because I think a lot of this comes from what the original ending was supposed to be. And I don't have any actual facts. This is just my speculation. But there's this shot, then there's a reverse shot of the ACTs shooting at this crew while they're crossing the beach. And there's also another shot of them running through a hallway. This I think it's a subway station in London.
Yeah, I remember talking about this with the trailer and we're like, it looks like it's in a tube station.
Yeah, exactly. And they're carrying these plans and it just definitely has something to do with whatever rewrites they did. So it feels like they probably had to grab the plans from that data center, then run across the beach on Scarif to get them to be able to transmit them to the rebellion. So I'm not sure why they made those changes. Maybe they were trying to kind of shorten up the ending and maybe felt like it dragged on for too long, or they figured out a better way to kind of do it. But they were really using those shots heavily for the marketing, especially of them crossing the beach and the AT-ACTs. Yeah.
I mean, it looks great.
It looked super, super good. So to go into the movie and not see that was a little disappointing, but it's all part of those reshoots, yeah. So I'm curious if maybe on the Blu-ray or on the director's commentary, Gareth Edwards will address that to let us know kind of maybe how that originally played out.
Yeah, because another shot that was used a lot in promos, you may have seen this one on billboards even, the stormtroopers in the water. We didn't get this exact shot, did we?
No, we got the Death Troopers, which were all in the black armor that they kind of were just dropped into the water, which was cool because, this is like every billboard in Los Angeles that is promoting Rogue One, and even all the posters has this. So it's kind of again part of like seeing those other characters running across the beach. We didn't see this, and it would have been cool. Like we see stormtroopers on the beach, we see the rebels fighting against them, but not necessarily in the water. It's mostly just the Death Troopers. So
and obviously, like you see the shots of beach and the shots of a tropical world, and it brings back, Normandy Beach or Vietnam as well, which would have been probably more of the war thing. Could you tell that it was reshot towards the end, you personally, or just
no? I mean, I think for me, I guess going into it and knowing what all these shots were and then not seeing them, it kind of gives you an idea of like what was reshot. But I felt like the end still was cohesive and it still flowed really well. So after I saw the movie, I was like, well, it doesn't bother me that they changed it. If it would have felt like it was tinkered with too much and it would have drastically changed kind of where the story went, I think it would have bothered me more, but I think it worked.
Yeah, there's obviously that they shot a lot of extra footage because we also have another behind-the-scenes clip of a laughing creature that Gareth Edwards is coaching to laugh in a specific way. We didn't see that. Looks like it's almost like a helicopter shot, but obviously the Star Wars version.
Yeah. This was a character. So this character is still actually in the movie, but we don't see that reaction of him laughing. And I think this character shoots down one of the AT-ACTs or possibly a fighter. I can't exactly remember, but yeah. So it just goes to show that they kept shooting like more material to kind of help fill in what this big battle was and the victory of taking down some of these Imperial walkers, because they are huge and intimidating.
I wonder what the ratio is of the amount of film that they shot versus what actually made the cut.
I mean, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there are some filmmakers like Chris Nolan who say that they literally just shoot what's in the script. They just shoot what they need. But I think with some of these movies, like Marvel movies and DC movies and Star Wars, they probably shoot hours and hours and hours of material.
They want to cover themselves and make sure they've got everything. Well, the next one is an audio clip. So let's take a listen to this.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
I mean, that was a big moment in the trailers. Didn't happen in the movie.
No, I feel like that line was also a little
on the nose.
Yeah, it was a little controversial. I know a lot of people were like, I rebel. They're like, this sounds so dumb. And I'm like, well, does it? I don't know. It didn't really bother me. But yeah, again, MIA.
Yeah, MIA. I know, I was waiting for that moment. I was like, when does she say the thing about rebelling?
Right.
Nope, she never does. Also with Saw Gerrera, we have, a couple of different looks for him. We see in this shot here, he's bald, which of course he was when she was younger, when Jyn was younger. But here you can see that Felicity Jones is older here.
Yeah, this is really interesting because we see Saw Gerrera in this is the shot from the first teaser trailer, the very, very first one. This is obviously on Jeddah because you can see that he's inside of like this rock kind of hideout that he's in. But yeah, it's so interesting why they decided to change the look of the character. I mean, there's about a 15-year gap from the beginning of the movie to present, or her present day, I guess. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if Gareth Edwards maybe thought the character wasn't sympathetic enough to her, because there are some lines of dialogue that we're going to be listening to shortly here where he says certain things to her and it feels a bit more aggressive, kind of trying to keep her back and keep her out of, kind of committing to this mission. So maybe they thought that they needed somebody who was a little bit more supportive of Jyn Erso to maybe help encourage her.
The gray hair sort of helps that
Maybe,
image.
Maybe that was even something maybe Forrest Whitaker was like, I don't know how I feel about the look of the character.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's really interesting because we didn't see Saw Gerrera in a lot of the advertisements for a while, and then he shows up and he looks completely different. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why.
Maybe an easy way to make him age, I'm
maybe,
not sure.
Yeah.
Another shot that we didn't see in the movie, Galen's home being burned by these death troopers.
Yeah.
Would that have added more drama?
I mean,
I think did you need it?
I don't think so. I think the way it played out in the movie, you could already tell that family was going through hell.
Yeah.
The only thing we see of that death trooper in particular is he picks up the stormtrooper doll that Jyn Erso drops when she's escaping. But yeah, I don't really think you needed it. We were talking about in the Easter eggs thing how we saw Jyn Erso kind of looking out into the sunset, and it was very reminiscent of A New Hope. And that would have also been because, when Luke comes back to the farm, Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen are burned to a crisp, and the whole house is or part of the homestead is on fire. So maybe they were trying to parallel too much, and maybe it just didn't work out in the edit probably.
Another shot that I personally would have loved to see because it looks so damn cool is Mendo with the cape.
Yeah, this cape shot was awesome. I know when people saw like, oh, the bad guy has a cape. It looks epic. And it's just like flowing across the water.
It looks like he's walking on water.
He does, yeah. And again, this looks like it's on Scarif. So the ending very much changed a lot, most likely, because we never see Orson Krennic go across water. He literally goes from the communications tower to the platform where they transmit the plans.
Yeah.
He never touches sand, so.
Yeah, it would have been kind of cool if you could do it properly, where he just like determinedly walks across the water to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love Mendo. I wanted more Mendo.
Yeah.
Another 2 audio clips to listen to, both involving Jyn Erso. Let's take a listen.
State your name for the record.
Jyn Erso.
Forgery of Imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest.
On your own from the age of 15, reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined.
That's the first one. So, Jyn, I think I would have loved to hear this just because it would have given her just a little bit more of a backstory.
Yeah, and it's hard because like I know for trailers specifically, they do go in and they do shoot certain things, they do record certain things, and I wonder if they did this for the teaser trailer just to immediately give people context. It was probably the easiest way to kind of cut this into the trailer to just kind of introduce who is this new character. In the movie, it's kind of done in a very different way. She's introduced under a different alias. And then, they reveal that she's Jyn Erso, and Mon Mothma, starts talking about kind of her interesting past and stuff. So yeah, I kind of feel like this may have just been for the trailer.
Yeah, maybe just a quick way to sum her up.
Exactly.
That makes sense. The next clip is what you were talking about before with Saw Gerrera and how he was treating Jyn Erso in the trailers. Have a listen.
What will you do when they catch you? What will you do if they break you? If you continue to fight?
So good.
What will you become?
Whoa. I mean, that actually even gives me chills, and I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I love that aspect of him being, as you were saying, possibly the tough guy, almost the father figure, wants to protect her, but does it through very tough means.
Right, because we learn in this movie that he's a rebel extremist. He's really trying to prevent the Imperials from extracting kyber crystals off of Jedha. He's a very aggressive type of character. And in the movie with Jyn, he's much more sympathetic. He's much kinder, and he is really trying to explain to her, I was trying to hide you to protect you because as soon as the Empire knew you were alive, they would use you against your father and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting choice to see how that character changed just from the marketing material to the actual film. I really want to know more about why that was.
Yes, that's so intriguing. And he was bald in that clip as well.
Yeah.
We also saw in that little clip the very iconic image, one that when I was watching Rogue One, I was like, when do you get to the bit where it lights up behind her? Because that looks awesome.
Yeah, and they did a really good job with the edit. They snuck in Darth Vader's breathing in the background of it. So yeah, it looks like it could have been the shot from the sequence where they have to actually go in and retrieve the plans.
Yeah, she's in the uniform.
She's in that, exactly. So yeah, it's like little iconic moments that they really used heavily to promote this movie were omitted completely.
Yeah, interesting. Another one, which I know you were talking about, which is really interesting, little tidbit that was definitely done just for the trailer, was this on the platform moment with a TIE fighter.
Yeah, and that's a really cool shot because if you were to take that TIE fighter out in the movie, once you have all the context of the movie, you understand how intense this moment is and how important this moment
is.
is.
How scary that is to walk down that platform.
Exactly, but without context, and you don't have that TIE fighter in there, it's kind of bland and boring because she's just walking towards a control panel. And Dan Casey was here and he was doing the 21 Easter eggs with me, and he mentioned that Trailer Park, who cut the trailer together, they actually put the TIE fighter in there to kind of build up the energy and kind of like the scariness of that shot. And I guess ILM later went in and they touched up the TIE fighter to make it look more realistic. So yeah, again, there are certain shots that are specifically, or things that are inserted just for the trailer to help sell the movie.
Fascinating. Yeah. Another one is Darth Vader. We have this look at him with the red stuff in the background. Scary looking image.
Yeah. I think he's looking at, what he's looking at there is kind of like a map of the Death Star, possibly, or where it is.
It looks like the plans almost.
Yeah, a little bit of the plans, but yeah, we'd never see that shot. That was the first reveal of Darth Vader in the trailers. We hear the breathing and then it fades into that shot. And there's also another shot of like seeing part of the reflection of the floor, and you see Darth Vader's silhouette on the bottom. But yeah, the first time we see him, it's on Mustafar, and I think even some of that feels different. There actually, now that I'm thinking, there is the dialogue that Orson Krennic says something about absolute power, and I don't believe that's in the movie either. And it looks like it was done on like the bridge of a ship and not on Mustafar, because the only interaction Darth Vader has with Orson Krennic, I think, is on Mustafar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I remember that line as well, but I don't remember seeing it in the
because people kept quoting it like power.
Yeah, power.
Yeah. So it's again, it's so interesting to go back and look at marketing material for all movies and see what gets cut in, what gets cut out, and how things change. It's super interesting.
It's fascinating, the whole process. And our last shot is Krennic, good old Mendo, with the gun and the cape. We've seen that image, I think, official still shots for the movie.
Totally.
That were released for publicity.
Exactly. And again, another shot from the teaser trailer. The teaser trailer usually tends to be the best place to kind of find stuff that doesn't make it in or that changes the most. But it almost looks like it could be tied into that shot with Vader looking at the other set of plans. But yeah, super interesting to see the things that change or get removed.
It brings up a whole interesting conversation, I think, which we'll just touch on here. But one of my good friends edits trailers, and I've asked him about this. I said, how do you feel about things not making trailers and you cutting a trailer to make a movie look very different to what
Right.
it actually is. He's like, I don't care. My job is to get people in the theater.
Right.
Once they're in there, it doesn't matter to me. It's just about getting them in. So for you, when it comes to trailers, particularly for things you love, like Star Wars, do you mind if it doesn't reflect the final film? Do you think it should just be about getting people in, or do you think it should be an accurate representation?
That's a good question. I would hope that for 90% of it, 95% of it, it reflects exactly what's in the movie and the story that the movie is trying to tell. If they go in and they create specific shots just for the trailer, or they recut dialogue to kind of fit the trailer better, it doesn't bother me too much as long as it's not changing the story. If I go and I watch the trailer and the trailer's telling me this is what the movie's about, I sit in the theater and I'm like, what is this? This is not the movie that you advertise, which does happen sometimes. Then that's very frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, like, because we do rely on the trailers to sell us the movie.
And our jobs are like to go through it frame by frame.
Yeah, like, oh my God, this is in there, this is in there.
This and this
right.
connects
and
to
we,
this.
Yeah, and we speculate and we try to interconnect all these pieces and try to, let people know kind of how the flow of the movie is. And then you go and there's 2 handfuls of shots that you're like, that's not even in there. I guess we shouldn't have speculated about that.
And I know for me, I'm always waiting for those specific shots, like with Jyn and the lights. I'm like, when is that going to happen? And it takes me out of the movie, but I think that's specific to our job.
Right, yeah. So that's why I get really excited for Blu-rays. Because I like to see, the commentary, the deleted scenes, alternate scenes. So we'll see what happens.
Yes. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Anne Hlavik, for
thank
joining
you.
me and giving me your knowledge.
Thank you
I
very much for having
appreciate
me.
it. And if you guys have spotted any other little Easter eggs, any other little bits that we missed, make sure you comment below. Also look over here for more Screen Junkies news goodness. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on Twitter at SJ News. We'll see you soon.